What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/ChoosingBeggars. Alright, this story's called, in this case, he had the right to choose, and I was the butthole of the situation. I saw the choosing beggar after I parked my car in front of a pharmacy. My girlfriend had just arrived in town, and I just wanted to make a quick stop to buy some condoms and a toothbrush. He approached me, sans mask, asking for food. I gave him a mask I had in the car and asked him to use it before I would listen to what he had to say. He put the mask on and told me he wanted food for his family of 5. I didn't ask, but I was pretty sure he was homeless and camped out nearby, as so many were in my city. I really didn't want to make my detour any longer than I needed to, so I could spend quality time with my girlfriend. But I can't stand the idea of people going hungry when I'm doing quite well for myself. I said I'd go into one of the restaurants on the street and buy him something, and he wanted me to go to a cheaper one a few blocks further. This irritated me, and I said I wasn't gonna do that. I went into the one closest to me and asked them to suggest something for a family of 5. The bill was quite high, and it wasn't even really a crap load of food, just pretty expensive. I handed him the receipt and told him that he could pick up the food with it when it was ready. He just looked at it incredulously and started complaining, asking me if I couldn't just give him the money. He had a ton of stuff he needed to buy, such as diapers and stuff. I was already irritated and asked him if he wanted it or not. He said he did, and I left on my way. Looking back though, I can totally understand his reaction. I had spent on one meal, albeit for his whole family, but even so, probably more money than he saw in a month. About 120 in my local currency. Reais. While it wasn't even that much for me, it could have probably bought a week's worth of groceries for him, plus diapers for his baby. For me to have spent it so frivolously on one single meal was, for him, in some ways, a capitalist smack in the face. 95% of the posts here are of entitled, privileged, choosing beggars acting like buttholes. In this case, however, I do feel I was the butthole and managed to make the beggar feel even worse about his situation, even though I was of some help. My take from this: if you want to help someone, truly help them the way they need you to. Don't just do it to not feel bad about yourself. OP, the fact that you recognize your wrongdoing just shows that you are a kind, generous person. I'm sure the family really appreciated the meal, because if it was expensive, hopefully it was tasty at least. And you know what? You treated them to a probably well-deserved, very much needed, nice, fancy family dinner. And that's more than he would have had you not stopped and helped him. So, Alright, this story's called, "Thanks for pulling off Christmas for my kids, but did you happen to think to get me and spouse anything?" So my oldest daughter and her 2 sons came to the house yesterday for Christmas. F you, COVID-19. My next oldest takes the dogs for their walk, and older sister joins. Upon returning, they both look ready to cry. Apparently, they ran into 2 of the 5 kids that live around the corner with their piece of sushi parents. These 2 kids are 8 and 10. Long story short, they are sad and tell my daughters that they are not celebrating Christmas this year because their father lost his jobs a few weeks back. I've offered to give this man a job, but like I said, piece of sushi. And they have no money. Enter the wife, who hears the story, and now there are 6 watery eyeballs beaming my orders into my brain. Okay, we got this. The wife and I go upstairs to discuss some things, and within minutes, all 3 of our girls are standing at our office door with cash in hand, demanding to help give these kids at least something to wake up to. Hell yeah, we raised them, right? Oh my god, I'm smiling so hard. Well, except the whole teen pregnancy thing our oldest managed to pull off, but I digress. So, what's the plan? I ask. It doesn't take long to figure out that with the time we have to pull this off, plus my hatred for crowds and strangers in general, that Walmart will more than work. One stop, I'm sure they'll have a bunch of registers open. Looking at you, 7 closed registers, and we'll get in and out in no time. Yeah, that didn't happen. So we eventually got the frick out of there, go home, and commence wrapping. Mission Mission partially accomplished. I walk over to the parents who knew our intentions and didn't care to join us on our trip. We devise a plan to bring everything over last night, and of course, their kids were still running wild. Like, really? You knew what we were doing. Cut to this morning at 7:45. Not 8:30, not 9 o'clock, 7:45. Supermom knock on the door.
Oh, hey, I was just outside smoking a cigarette and wanted to ask you a question.
This woman looked me dead in the eye and asked if we forgot to get her and her husband gifts to swap. I guess she didn't see me about to stroke out because she followed that up with, and I can show you this on the Ring doorbell video if you don't believe it.
Did you happen to look for a Nintendo Switch or a PlayStation 5?
And that's when I died and reincarnated in my present dumbfounded form. I don't know exactly how the wife handled her after I walked back in the house, and I don't care. F her and him. The fucking nerve of some people. See, this story was so incredibly wholesome, and I'm so happy that that OP's family decided to do that. And oh my god, their kids are so sweet. And I know, contrary to popular belief, teenage pregnancy does not make you a bad person. Maybe slightly irresponsible if it was an accident, but that's okay. We're all irresponsible sometimes. Alright, this story's called Boyfriend Treated Me as an ATM. I'm a 30-year-old disabled female, incomplete quadriplegic, in a wheelchair, and this happened about 2 years ago. I met a guy on Tinder who we'll call Randy. We met for the first time for coffee, and everything went well. He was kind, funny, generous, and we seemed to get along well, so we continued to see each other for a few weeks. Within those first few weeks, everything seemed to be going well. He was a smoker, and although I'm not a smoker, I smoked years before this but quit, him smoking wasn't a deal breaker for me. I'd mentioned once in a conversation with Randy that I'd never lend money to someone who smokes or drinks or does drugs. In my mind, if their priorities were on those things and not food and bills, then it's not my problem. I'd been manipulated for money in the past, so I'm a lot more aware than I was before that it happened. Not long after this, he started asking to borrow money but was vague about what it was for, or would come up with weird reasons why he needed money. Some of these didn't even make sense.
Can I borrow $10? I need to get underwear. All of mine are drying on the line and I don't have a dryer. My mate took my wallet yesterday and lost the $20 that was inside. Do you think I could borrow money? I'll give it back on payday. How much money you got in your purse? I need to go to town and get some stuff. Do you have a spare tenner? My mom took the car out this morning. Hey, how about you lend me a lobster and I'll get it for you and bring you change.
The requests kept getting weirder, and he would occasionally repeat the same request multiple times, forgetting he'd already asked me that. My answers were always the same. Sorry, I got no money on me. And if he'd asked me to get cash out, I just changed the subject. He never got a cent off me, and that relationship didn't last long. That's a stupid way for a relationship to end. I bet that guy feels like a big old dummy now. Alright, this story's called He Didn't Like the Vibes. This took place a couple of years ago, but to this day makes me laugh / shake my head at the audacity of some people. You're telling me. So, info for context. This was an interaction that took place between myself, who's a female in her 30s and a mother of 2 young children, and also the mother of her coworker, Michael. No. And coworker, Michael, 20, living with and supported by his mom. We worked for an event center. I bartended and he served / bussed. He lived 1 city over from me, and I was his only coworker who lived anywhere near him, and he didn't have a car, so I often gave him rides. The first time I did, he gave me $20 for gas, and then never did again. We made decent money, but he was constantly asking other coworkers to loan him money because he was always broke. Probably because, this is not an exaggeration, he was getting a new tattoo every other week. One night, after a particularly long Christmas party, I was driving him home. A couple of times after work, we had stopped at a 24-hour diner for a bite, night, and he asked if we could go there that night. I said no because it was 4 a.m. on a weeknight and I had to be up in 3 hours to get my kids ready for school. I told him I'd be happy to take him through a drive-thru though.
I don't eat fast food. That stuff is crap.
The diner he wanted to go to served food that was definitely on par with fast food. Okay, sorry.
Can you just take me to a grocery store?
Sure, I'll just drop you at the door and wait for you in the parking lot. Call me when you're done and I'll pull up to the door for you. We pull up to the grocery store and I stop to let him out.
I don't like the vibe here. Can he take me to
grocery store 10 minutes away in the town I live in? Total opposite direction of his house, so I would be adding at least 35 minutes to the time until I would get home. No. I'm sorry, but I'm really tired and I need to get home.
Fine, just take me home then.
He proceeded to sulk and act like a total baby the rest of the drive home. Never even said thank you and definitely didn't give me any gas money. Another story, not choosing beggar worthy, but just to illustrate what a crappy person this was, during the time I worked with him, I went through a divorce. I finally started dating again and was showing a coworker a photo of a guy I was seeing. Choosing beggar happened to see and says,
"Ew, of course he's black. What the heck? I've had a thing for you forever. What about me?"
Lovely. This guy was not very friendly, and if you want coworkers to do you favors, or anyone for that matter, you should probably ask nicely. Unless you can blackmail him, but this guy, obviously not smart enough to do that. Probably doesn't even like blackmail, probably scared of blackmail, given the name. Blackmail. He's intimidated by black men because he's, insecure. Alright, this story's called, I'll take the room, you'll pay triple the rent. I was looking for someone to move into the second room in my apartment. Rent was $600 total, including all bills. My room was probably 20% bigger, so I was offering the second room for $240. A girl comes around to see it. She complains about the place.
The kitchen isn't very big at all.
Fair call, but the place was a pretty standard price for the size and the very populated area.
Ew, I don't like the red couch.
Neither do I, but that's what there is.
I normally get ready from 7 to 8:30 every morning, so I'll need the bathroom for that time.
Yes, she meant that whole time. I'm not sure if that'll work every morning, but I'm normally gone by 7:30, so you could definitely have it by then.
I suppose that could work. Is there any car parking?
Car parking in an apartment in this area is unheard of, so no.
Oh, well, I need a car park. I have a car.
This is a place where most people don't have cars. Having a car in this particular city suggests you've got cash to burn. Well, you might be able to find a street park, or there's a cheap parking place up the road.
Okay, well, I'm going to have a look around the neighborhood for parking. I'll let you know after that.
She calls back half an hour later and says she found somewhere to park the car.
So I'll take the room.
Okay, so you're interested. I'm about to tell her that I still have a few other people to meet.
Yes, I'll move in. I'll pay $140.
Oh no, sorry. The room is $240. I could maybe take it down to $220.
Yes, but the room is smaller and I have to pay for parking.
I understand the room is smaller. That's why the rent is $240, not $300. And you're not just renting the room, it's also the rest of the apartment and the bills.
But I don't want it for $240. I can maybe pay $160.
I'm sorry. The total rent is $600. I can't pay 75% of the rent while someone else pays a quarter. I'm not going to pay 3 times as much rent because I have a bigger bedroom.
But I have to pay for parking and I'll have to walk from the car park to here every day. I think it's fair you reduce the rent.
Not that much, I'm afraid. It's $220 minimum.
Then why did I waste my time looking for parking?
Sorry. Thanks for coming. Goodbye. Edited to add, friends, I'm 100% here for everyone calling out ridiculous housing costs in the US, but this wasn't in the US. The rent wasn't so insanely cheap as everyone seems to think. I know that makes this a little less outrageous, but the point was this woman just casually declared she was gonna move in for 50% of the advertised rent. Yet she was was trying to bargain, but not budging from half-price rent because she had a car, which, in the context, is a rich person thing to have, was still incredibly bold. That said, please do carry on pointing out that the housing market in the US is out of control. It is where I live too. This is just for your information. Thank you for that enlightening edited to add thing. Because yes, housing prices in much of the US are crazy. Unless you live in Brownsville, which is soup stoops cheap. Also really, really pretty. But it sucks how, at least in the US, there are only two options. You either buy a house and that's a freaking lifelong, huge financial commitment, or you rent and have to deal with crappy landlords that can just raise your rents for no reason, essentially. Wish there was like a cool third option where it's affordable and not filled with bullcrap. Alright, this story's called Spoiled and Jobless Brother Threatens Me to Have Me Expelled of the House I Pay For, I'm assuming. In my country, it's usual that if the father leaves, the older male sibling takes care of the family. It's beyond unfair and society still applauds it. My mother-in-law is sick, badly, cancer sick. We, both my significant other and I, provided her with everything we could so that she would not have worries. But she has a big one. Her younger son. He is a jobless, kept little brat of 26 years. That's right, 26. In 11 years, I only saw him work once, and it wasn't an achievement. His uncle gave him a job at his store, and the little brat quit after a few weeks. My mother-in-law got worse. She is dying. She started living with us, and my now angry significant other decided to cut the finances to his brother. The little rat went nuclear, and my narc father-in-law supported him and called me names because he wants the house of my mother-in-law and wants an ally, and sees me as a threat because I'm very protective of my mother-in-law. Then the little rat yelled that he could have me expelled from his house. His! Like if just for being the brother, he owned the damn property. My significant other, soon to be ex, didn't defend me because he is afraid of confrontation. Worst, now that the little rat finally sees that he won't have an easy source of income soon, he suddenly became worried for his mom and, after weeks of not visiting, asked my significant other to live with us so that he would take care of her in the nights. My stupid significant other fell for the trap. And now the little rat lives with us, eats free food, uses my internet, my electricity, my water, as I pay for the damn services. I'm moving out, obviously. The choosing beggar won this one. I'll visit my mother-in-law as I love her and want to be with her, but my significant other lost me. I prefer to move out in plain pandemic than be yelled at my own damn house. Yikes. OP, you are a very caring individual, and those people are all meanie heads that are taking advantage of your kind heart. And your husband, that guy, sorry.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.